Hey, I'm Steve and I'm running the Flow Movement Workshop at Jefferson Community Hall on the 10th of December, and I figured that I'm new to the area, so none of you guys really know who I am and what I'm offering perhaps, so a very short video to explain. I've been down here about 4 months, just over, and what I'm bringing here is this flow movement workshop. So flow, what is flow first of all? Flow is this state of mind that you get into often when you're doing your habits, when you're doing your hobbies. It can be a habit to do your hobby. When you're doing your hobbies, you immerse yourself into the activity and time flies, you're loving it, you're having a great time, and you're producing great results. You're not always worried about the results you're creating, because it's more about the enjoyment of what you're doing. That state is an altered state of consciousness that's called flow, and it's been mapped in the brain, and the electrics of what's going on in the brain, and the chemicals of what's getting released in the brain. It's all been mapped, and I've been studying that with an international organization for a number of years. Now, generally flow happens a little bit sort of randomly. So what's been analyzed is a cycle of flow and a way of getting into flow. That's what I'm going to be teaching in this course. The flow cycle is a 4-stage cycle: struggle or focus and struggle, release, flow, and then recovery. So we'll be looking deeply into that 4-phase cycle. And the triggers for flow. So what are the triggers for flow? Well, in terms of triggers, you want risk, novelty, challenge, skills, balance, which is a huge one for us, clear goals, clear focus goals, and a whole bunch of other ones which we'll go through on the day. And you set these triggers up to create an environment where flow is likely to appear, and that's what we're going to be looking at. Now, the reason why I look at the movement side of things is that for years, I've been, over 20 years, been a Qigong instructor and internal martial arts instructor, and I've done a lot of different styles of martial arts, and I've taught a lot of workshops and classes over the years. And that comes from a more sort of Taoist or sort of philosophical, spiritual side of things, whereas the science of flow is coming from a more neuroscientific perspective. And they don't necessarily agree on the foundations of what's going on, but they can be used together. Somebody I was talking to recently reckons that all these martial arts schools are secret flow schools, but they didn't know it at the time. Anyhow, looking at Qigong, the first thing to get into flow is building awareness, right? So we use the body, it's called embodied cognition. It's a fancy word for mind-body connection, or being mindful of the movement as we're making the movements. Yeah. Now, what I'm offering is a whole day of immersion into this kind of the setup of what flow's about. We'll be experiencing flow on the day because we'll be pushing the triggers so that they happen, so we can get into flow. And then you'll leave the day with an expanded awareness of yourself, and you'll be moving freely. So I'll be looking at some Qigong practices and some internal martial arts practices. Where we move the body, we look at balance, and I'm going to be bringing the skill board down, which is a balance board. We stand on it and work on that. We've also got things such as the flow rope. Flow rope is a great way of working the body. It's a bit tight in here with the walls, but rather than looking at it from an exercise perspective, we're looking at deepening this idea of how to move the body through the 3 brains, or the 3 dantians, which is namely the body, the emotions, the mental, the physical, and then putting it all together. And what I was taught with martial art is each one of these has a plane of movement, which is this primary plane of movement, and we'll be exploring that. So the flow rope comes in because we can start to look at how can we move parts of our body consciously to affect a result with the rope or the staff. We'll be using some staffs as well, and just looking at how can we use this map that I'll be providing you on the day to explore your movement, and then you can apply it to any movement. It doesn't have to be Tai Chi type movements. We will learn some sort of Tai Chi moves to practice, some Qigong moves to practice. Yeah, so it's going to be a really fun and an enlightening day, hopefully, with a lot of leave with a heightened sense of awareness, and you'll feel good. Flow feels good. The feeling of being in flow is probably the best state that we can get to naturally. And then there's an afterglow of flow. Now, the reason why I like to teach this again, the other plus point of this is in that flow cycle, you can use what we'll be teaching in the day at any point of that flow cycle. In fact, the first part of the cycle is focus, how to hold focus. So anything to do with balance requires focus. So the more we can use that balance training, the more we're training that focus muscle, and we need to sustain focus to then get into flow. But before that is a gap called release, and that's where you want to do something away from your activity just to sort of clear the brain fog, allow the processing power of your brain to work out the next steps, and whilst you're not thinking about it. And you can do things like twirling the staff or using the rope for that moment. And then you've got flow itself. Now, you can use these activities I'll be teaching you now as a flow activity, I do. Or you can, use it as a setup to get into your flow activity. Hopefully this will make more sense. Well, it will definitely make more sense after the day. And then you can also use it as your active recovery protocol, because to sustain heightened peak performance or well-being, you've got to have a recovery practice, and that requires moving the body as well. So what you'll be learning in the workshop, will be able to put into all of the flow cycle, and you'll feel great, frankly. So anyway, go to my website. There's a free download on there about flow and flow states. I will be providing you with access to various things on the day anyway, but that might give you a bit of a pre-runner. If you've got any questions, please just put them in the comments down below, and I'll answer the questions. If you want to give me a call, the number's there as well. And yeah, hope to see you on the day. Okay, thanks very much, guys. Bye-bye.